There's an easy way to produce top-selling titles in the reverse coloring book niche, where similar books are generating over $5,000 a month on Amazon, and it's all done using Canva AI. Now, if you've never heard of a reverse coloring book before, it's a coloring book where instead of coloring within the lines of a drawing, you draw the lines on top of blobs of colors. Here's how it works. Open up a free Canva account and using its AI image generator, create abstract watercolor style images. Once you've got enough pages to fill a book, download a print-ready PDF, then upload the book to KDP where it'll be available for sale within 72 hours. Now, if you're ready to start, let's get into the tutorial, starting with step number 1. First, go to canva.com and then log in. Then click Create a New Design. Choose Custom Size, and I think an 8x10 or an 8.5x11 would be perfect for this project. So I'm going to make sure that I'm in inches, enter the dimensions, and then click Create New Design. Next, head all the way to the left-hand side menu and scroll down until you see Magic Media. You may actually have to scroll to find it. From here, leave it on Images, click on Styles, and then click on Watercolor. From there, you can enter a prompt into the box. Now, if you just want to create purely abstract images, you can type something in like abstract watercolor splashes in soft pastels. If your reverse coloring book has a theme, you can enter that here as well. So maybe instead of splashes, we say abstract watercolor plants in soft pastels. Once you've got your prompt, hit Generate Images. If you're happy with your results, go ahead and click on one. If you want to see more options, you can click Generate again. And one thing I forgot to do at the beginning here was click where it says square. We don't want a square, we want a portrait for this size. So I'm going to click Portrait, and then I'll hit Generate again. I like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and see what that one looks like on the page. Now remember, you do want these designs to be fairly abstract because the whole idea here is that the person who's doing the reverse coloring, they're going to be drawing in the lines with their pens. And the more abstract the image is, the more that the person coloring is going to be able to use their own creativity to create the type of image that they want. Now, if my entire reverse coloring book was themed around plants, all I would do next is hit the Add Page, and I might just click Generate again, or I'd try a slightly different prompt to see what other images I could come up with. Now, the Magic Media tool is fantastic for this, but I want to point out another option you can use as well. Click on Photos, then do a search for watercolor. And you might want to do something like watercolor splashes. Now, if you're on the free version, that's fine. Just click up here on the filter and click on free so that you won't be shown any of the paid options. From here, you can scroll and just pick out single splashes and then layer them in a pleasing way. You can also use the transparency tool at the top here to turn down the transparency of any of these images just to get the desired effect. If you want something a little bit less abstract, search for whatever it is you're specifically looking for. So if I wanted to add to my watercolor plants themed coloring book, I could just enter watercolor plants here, and I can start creating my own image. And remember, you don't want something as detailed as this because the whole idea is that the person doing the coloring draws in the line. So the more detailed the image gets, the more it takes away from the entire point of the reverse coloring book. An image like this is pretty ideal because there's enough detail to kind of get a sense that this is some sort of floral motif, but there aren't so many details that it completely defeats the purpose. You can also make adjustments to your image by clicking on it and then clicking the edit button here. From here, you can click adjust, and you can adjust things like the temperature. You can see here as I'm sliding it, it's becoming warmer or cooler. Tint, brightness, contrast, highlights, and a few other edits you can make. So just play around with it until you're satisfied with the final image. Once you have enough pages to fill a book, and you're going to want probably about 30 to 50 for a decent sized reversed coloring book, then you'll go up to Share, Download, and choose PDF Print. You could leave it on RGB because when you upload this to Amazon, Amazon's going to convert it to CMYK on their end. Then click Download. Once you have your exported design, it's always a good idea to do a test print at home if you've got a printer, because you really want to know what it's going to actually look like once it's been printed, so that you can see if it's going to print as you intended it. Now for these, I like the first two. They're on a white background. This feels like it doesn't quite belong, although I actually really love the abstract nature of this image. What I don't like is that it is not on a clean white background. So then I can go back into my design and just see if I can make any adjustments in this edit section to kind of make that appear more white in the background. So pushing the highlights up, that seems to help a little bit. But you can play around until you get the results that you're after. Now it's time to create a cover, and we're going to need a different file for that, and we're also going to use KDP's book cover template. But before we do, I want to search for a book cover template that I can use. Click on Design at the top left, and then enter a prompt. I've entered watercolor coloring book cover. Now, of course, you can create your cover completely from scratch, but I just want to show you what's available here. So I quite like the look of this, and this goes along with my plant theme. So I'm going to make a few edits to this to customize it for my book. Then we'll go ahead and we'll set up the actual cover file. Now we're ready to create our cover template. So head over to kdp.amazon.com/cover-calculator, and then we'll enter our book details. So this is a paperback. Now for this, you're gonna have to pick color. So it's up to you whether you wanna go premium color or standard cover. Keep in mind, when you select premium cover, that's gonna jack up your printing costs. What you might wanna do is order an author copy of one of each and see which one you like better. You want your book to be high quality, and you don't want people complaining about the quality. So the best bet really is to try out both and then make a final decision after seeing it with your own eyes. I'm gonna click standard color for this. White paper, reading direction, you're going to want left to right. Inches, then choose your trim size. And then the number of pages. So I'm just going to enter 50 here and then calculate dimensions. Next, you'll want to download the template. Now head back to Canva. Open up your book cover template. This is going to give you the exact overall dimensions that you're going to need to enter into your new Canva cover file. So the file I'm going to create in Canva is going to be 17.363 inches by 11.250 inches. That includes the back cover, the front cover, the spine, and the bleed. So in Canva, hit File, Create New Design, Custom Size, and then enter the dimensions. Then go to Uploads and upload your KDP cover template. Once it's in, click on it, and then you'll just need to drag it to resize. Now what we're gonna do is turn down the opacity on this so that we can see through it. Once you've done that, click this little lock button. That way you can move design elements around without actually accidentally picking up this template and moving that around. Now, once we have our template in here, now we can go back and grab that cover design from our other file. Head back over to the left-hand menu and click on Projects. Now I can click on my project, and I should have given this another name. It just took on the template name, which is Diary Book. I can click there, and I can just click right on that cover file that I created. And look how it just magically fills up my entire cover design. Now, of course, we're gonna have to move some stuff around here, because if I leave this like this, half of this text is gonna be on the front and half of this is on the back, but this is a great starting point. If your KDP cover template disappeared like mine did, no big deal, just click back to Uploads. You can click on that again, drop it right back in here. Drag it out to size, and then we can click transparency and we can lock it again. Now I'm going to grab this text and I'm going to make sure it's properly centered in the middle of this template. Now, one thing you can do to make sure that your text is centered, you can just drag out these text boxes from one edge. Now remember, there's a bleed here, so you don't want to drag it right to the very edge. This line right here, this is the actual edge of the cover. What goes beyond is a bleed. So I'm just going to drag it to the edge of the cover, and then I'm going to do the same on this side. This purple dotted line, that is the edge of the front cover. So I'm just going to do that with all of these, so I can be sure that my text is properly centered. Now I'm going to drag out a couple of guides here so that I can completely turn off my cover template and still see where everything is. So I'll go to File, Settings, Show Rulers and Guides. I'm just going to click on this ruler. I'm just going to drag it out to the spine of the book so that I know exactly where the front cover ends and the back cover begins. Then I'm just going to click on the template. If you can't find it, click on Position, and then you'll be able to see it as one of the layers here. Now I can see that that's selected because there's a purple rectangle around it. I'm going to unlock it. And then I'm just going to turn the transparency right the way down. Now I'm going to go about just moving around some of these design elements, these flowers. Once you're done designing, turn the transparency up on your cover template a little bit, just to make sure that nothing is covering this barcode area. The barcode's gonna sit on top, but it's more so that you don't want anything that's important to you, any important text or imagery, sitting in this corner because the barcode's gonna go over top of it. Once you're completely happy with your design, just get rid of that template entirely. Click on the 3 dots and then hit delete. And if you're happy, you are now ready to export your print ready file. So go to Share, Download, PDF print, and then download. Open it up and make sure that everything looks as intended. Again, really recommend printing at home if you can. Once you're satisfied with the end result, it's time to upload your book to KDP. And if you want to see how to do that, you can click on one of the videos that I've linked to down in the description below. I've created a couple of other Canva AI tutorials, and you can just skip to the end and see exactly how the book is uploaded to KDP. Now, if you want to learn how to make money with the reverse coloring book that you just created, download my free guide, 3 Steps to Publishing Your First Low Content Book in Less Than a Day. I've linked to that down in the description below. And if you liked this video, please hit the like button And subscribe, that's gonna help push this video out to other people who might find it useful. Now, if you wanna learn how to turn one of your self-published books into a 6-figure empire, watch this video next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.